When Princess Diana died in that Paris tunnel in 1997, the world mourned a woman who had redefined what it meant to be royal. But behind the tears and the mountains of flowers left at Kensington Palace, a different story was unfolding. A story about money, power, and a will that would spark family conflict for years to come. Most people assumed Diana's fortune was neatly divided between her two sons. The truth is far more complicated. What Diana actually wrote in her will and what her family did with it after her death reveals a battle over her legacy that the public never fully understood. This isn't just about inheritance. It's about control, about protection, and about a mother's final attempt to secure her children's independence from the institution that had failed to protect her. By the time Diana signed her divorce papers in 1996, she had negotiated a settlement worth approximately £17 million. Add to that the jewelry, the investments, the personal possessions, and you're looking at an estate valued at over £21 million. In today's money, that's worth significantly more. But here's what shocked everyone who examined the documents. Diana's will was described by legal experts as surprisingly basic for someone of her status and wealth. She had written it back in 1993, during the messy separation period when her marriage to Charles was crumbling but not yet legally over. At that point, Diana was still figuring out who she was outside the royal family. She was still discovering her own power. And perhaps that's why the will itself feels almost rushed, as if she was protecting her assets without fully understanding just how valuable her legacy would become. The primary beneficiaries were clear: Prince William and Prince Harry. Diana wanted her sons to inherit everything, but she didn't want them to have it immediately. The original plan stated they would gain full control when they turned 25. Diana believed that by their mid-20s, her boys would be mature enough to handle significant wealth responsibly. She had watched too many young people destroy themselves with too much money too soon. But Diana also did something unusual. The day after signing her formal will, she wrote what's known as a letter of wishes. This wasn't legally binding, but revealed her heart. In this private letter, Diana asked that 75% of her personal belongings, her jewelry, her clothes, the items that carried memories, be split between William and Harry. She even expressed hope that their future wives would one day wear pieces from her collection. That wish came true. Kate Middleton wears Diana's iconic sapphire engagement ring. Meghan Markle has appeared in Diana's jewelry at significant moments. But Diana didn't stop there. She wanted 25% of her personal property to go to her 17 godchildren. These were young people she had mentored, children of close friends, people who had been part of her inner circle during some of her darkest years. She wanted them to have something meaningful to remember her by. Here's where everything went wrong. After Diana died, the executors of her estate, including her mother and her sister, decided to ignore that letter of wishes. Legally, they had every right to do so. The letter wasn't part of the formal will, so it carried no binding authority. But morally, the decision raised serious questions. Instead of receiving meaningful keepsakes, Diana's godchildren were given what some described as trinkets: hunting figurines, coffee service items, hollow mementos that felt more like an afterthought than a genuine inheritance. Diana's sons received the bulk of the estate, but even that process became controversial. The executors made a decision that changed the timeline Diana had carefully laid out. They applied for what's called a deed of variation, a legal tool that allowed them to alter the terms of the will. Instead of William and Harry gaining full access at 25, the age was pushed back to 30. The official reasoning was that this would allow the estate to grow through careful investment, and that the princes would be more financially mature at 30 than 25. But critics suggested another motive. By delaying access, the executors maintained control over Diana's money for 5 additional years. During that time, the princes could receive interest from the trust, but they couldn't touch the principal. They couldn't make major financial decisions. They couldn't use their mother's money to build true independence from the royal family. Some saw this as protection. Others saw it as control. When William and Harry finally gained access at age 30, each received approximately £10 million. That's significant wealth by any standard. But after taxes and administrative fees, it was considerably less than Diana's original estate. Nearly half the money had disappeared into the machinery of inheritance law, estate taxes, and legal costs. One of the most significant complications came from UK inheritance tax law. When Diana died, her estate was subject to a 40% death tax. Normally, estates passing between spouses are exempt, but Diana was divorced. She was no longer married to Charles. That meant her entire estate was taxable at the full rate. Charles could have intervened. Under British law, he had the right to reclaim the £16 million from their divorce settlement since Diana died within a year of receiving it. If he had done that, the money could have been restructured to minimize taxes. Charles chose not to. His advisors recommended leaving the funds inside Diana's estate. The result? Millions lost to taxation before William and Harry ever saw a penny. Some interpreted this as incompetence. Others wondered if it was intentional, a way to ensure Diana's sons remained financially dependent on the institution rather than building wealth that could give them true freedom. Diana's jewelry collection alone was valued in the millions. These weren't just expensive accessories. They were symbols loaded with history and emotion. The Spencer tiara, worn by Diana at her wedding, has since been worn by multiple family members. Kate Middleton has worn Diana's Cambridge Lovers, not tiara, at state events. Each appearance is a reminder that Diana's presence still shapes the visual identity of the royal family. His sapphire engagement ring deserves special attention. When Charles proposed to Diana in 1981, she chose this ring from a jeweler's catalog. It wasn't custom-made, which broke royal protocol, but Diana loved it. After her death, Prince Harry chose the ring as his personal keepsake. Then came the pact between brothers. William was expected to marry first, so Harry agreed to let him use the ring when the time came. When William proposed to Kate in 2010, he did so with his mother's most recognizable piece of jewelry. Harry honored the agreement, but he didn't walk away empty-handed. When he designed Meghan Markle's engagement ring, he incorporated 2 diamonds from Diana's personal collection, one on either side of the center stone. In this way, Diana's presence was woven into both of her sons' marriages, exactly as she had hoped. But jewelry and keepsakes tell only part of the story. Diana's most valuable asset wasn't material. It was freedom. In his 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey, Prince Harry revealed something crucial. He explained that his mother's inheritance gave him the financial independence to leave royal life. Without Diana's money, he and Meghan would have been trapped. They wouldn't have been able to step away from royal duties, move to California, and build a life on their own terms. Diana's money became Harry's exit strategy. It was the safety net that allowed him to prioritize his family's mental health over institutional expectations. In that sense, Diana's will wasn't just about distributing wealth. It was about creating options, about giving her sons the power to choose paths the institution might not approve of. William's situation differs entirely. As the heir to the throne, his wealth isn't limited to Diana's inheritance. He controls the Duchy of Cornwall, an estate worth over $1 billion that generates massive annual income. His financial security comes from the institution itself. He will be king. His path was set the moment he was born. Harry had no such guarantee. As the spare, his role was always precarious. Diana understood that. She knew Harry would need resources that didn't come with strings attached. The inheritance she left him wasn't just money. It was leverage. Diana's will also included provisions for a discretionary fund. About £100,000 went into this trust, and the interest benefits not just William and Harry, but their families. Now that both brothers are married, Catherine and Meghan can draw from this fund. It's a small detail, but it shows Diana thinking beyond her sons to the generations that would follow. Perhaps the most emotionally charged piece of Diana's estate was her wedding dress. The ivory silk gown with its 25-foot train became one of the most iconic garments in fashion history. After Diana's death, the dress belonged to her brother, Charles Spencer. For years, it was displayed at Althorpe, the Spencer family estate, and loaned to museums worldwide for exhibitions that raised money for charity. Only on Prince Harry's 30th birthday, in 2014 did the dress officially pass to Diana's sons. It now appears occasionally in royal exhibitions, a reminder of the fairy tale beginning that preceded so much pain. Many people assume William and Harry inherited Althorpe itself, the grand estate where Diana spent her childhood and where she is buried on a private island. They didn't. Althorpe isn't royal property. It belongs to the Spencer family and will pass to Diana's nephew, Louis Spencer, according to aristocratic inheritance traditions. Diana's sons inherited her money, but not her family home. This creates a strange dynamic. Diana is buried at Althorpe, but her sons don't control access to her grave. They must coordinate with their uncle anytime they wish to visit privately. It's a detail that underscores just how complicated Diana's legacy remains, caught between two families with competing claims to her memory. The controversy surrounding Diana's will didn't end with distribution of assets. Questions lingered about why she never updated the document after her divorce. She had a full year between her divorce settlement and her death. During that time, she was dating, traveling, exploring new relationships and possibilities. She had every opportunity to revise her estate plan to reflect her post-royal life. She never did. Some biographers suggest Diana believed she had more time. She was only 36 when she died. Estate planning probably felt like something she could address later, after she had fully rebuilt her life. Others wonder if Diana deliberately left the will unchanged as a form of protection. By keeping the document simple and focused on her sons, she avoided potential challenges from romantic partners or extended family members who might have contested a more complex arrangement. What's undeniable is that Diana's will, flawed as it may have been, achieved its core purpose. It ensured her sons inherited significant wealth that didn't come from the royal family. That independence matters. It gave Harry the ability to walk away. It gave William the knowledge that even if he someday renounces the throne, he has resources his mother set aside specifically for him. Princess Diana didn't leave her entire estate to one person in the dramatic sense the title suggests. But in a deeper way, she did. She left everything to her sons, collectively. Not to the institution, not to the crown, not to the Spencer family, or to godchildren, or to charity. She left it to William and Harry, two boys who would grow up without their mother but would carry forward the independence she fought so hard to claim for herself. That choice, that singular focus on protecting her children's autonomy, changes everything about how we understand Diana's final wishes. This wasn't just about money. It was about power, about giving her sons the ability to choose their own paths, even if those paths led away from the palace that had once seemed inescapable.